Okay, welcome to the Women in Publishing Summit. I am your host, Alexa Bigwarf, and I am so happy to bring you another speaker in our amazing lineup of women talking about everything from self-promotion and writing and editing and tech tools to help you publish and sell your books and mindset and everything in the betweens and all over the place. It's been such an incredible summit so far. I am so happy to have connected with all of these women and their just incredible amount of information. So today we are talking a bit more about self-publishing and if this is the route that you should choose and some of the tools that can really help you get your book professionally published and put out there, to make sure that even as a self-published author, no one can tell that your book is self-published. That's always the goal. So today we have Karen Maneely. She knows self-publishing very well, but she also knows BookBaby very well. And she's going to tell us all about BookBaby, so I don't want to mess it up, but I have been following them. I know they do an annual conference for writers every year that I've heard lots of things about. If I am correct, they offer like printing and publishing of books as well, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. She's going to tell us all the details because I don't know all the ins and outs and don't want to mess that up. But it's a great tool. I hear it recommended a lot, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it and whether or not it's a tool that I should be using with my authors as well. Okay, so let's get into who she is. She's been working for BookBaby, and she's been a self-published author since 2008. She's been on both sides of the self-publishing world and how it has evolved. She loves working with her authors, helping them launch their books and achieving their publishing goals. We've got some links where you can find her and follow her, which will all be in the show notes on the post page of this. But welcome, Karen. I'm very excited to talk to you.
Yes, me too. I love talking about self-publishing, and this is a really cool event that you're hosting. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. And, one of the things that we talk about is how differently women approach, everything. So it's really fun to put together a conference that allows us to talk about how we do things from a women's perspective and talk to other women who kind of get how women do things and respond to things. Mm-hmm. But self-publishing is, in case if this is the first interview that you've popped into, we have been talking about different publishing tracks throughout. And you have basically self-publishing, which means that you manage your book and the sales and where it gets distributed and all of those things, but it does not mean you have to do it all by yourself. You can use self-publishing assist companies and services and freelancers, and you should if you want the best, most professional looking book, unless you're just one of those unicorns who can do everything. You're perfect at words, you're perfect at graphics, you're perfect at everything. I don't know anyone like that. So today we are talking about self-publishing and let's just get into it. How did you start writing? How did you choose the self-publishing route?
Well, looking back, I realized I've always been a writer, writing in notebooks and hiding in my room. But I started writing for real after the birth of my first daughter, after my first child in 2000, just scribbling in a notebook again, and then deciding, hey, this is actually something I want to share with the world. Mm-hmm. I always write for myself first. And so I took the big leap in 2008 to self-publish, and it was a completely different world than it is now. Finding freelancers and publishing companies, and the ebook wasn't really a thing yet. Yeah. So I still have boxes of books in my house. Learned so much going through the process, the ups and downs, and I really did take every moment as a learning opportunity as well, because otherwise it would have destroyed me. It's not an easy business. Everyone has an opinion, and you got to learn from it. So I started that in 2008, published a second book 2011, and I joined BookBaby 3 years ago, jumping on the other side of the fence, and I love it. I get to talk to authors all day, and I get to help people, and it is so awesome when I have an author call me up and say, I got my books, they look so fantastic, and then I find them on Instagram and see how happy they are, and I don't care how many books you've written. When you open that box of books, it's magical.
Every time. Every
yeah.
time. Yes.
Giddy.
I agree. I don't know very many similar experiences other than holding your child for the first time. You know.
Yes, and this is a lot less messy usually.
Fingers crossed. We've had some doozies of situations, but we don't need to go there.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Well, so how did you wind up working for Book Baby? In case there's somebody who thinks to myself, I love writing, I love publishing, but man, I'd really love to help other authors.
I got extremely lucky. I was, it really was. I was working as a massage therapist, which is a completely different field, but still doing the self-publishing and going through the normal, rookie routes. Saw an ad, applied, got hired. Helped that I was self-published already, so it was just the perfect storm. And Book Baby was still very small at the time, so they were looking for people with experience. And between the experience and the passion, it's been the best job I've ever had. And it'll be 3 years in a week, so I'll be hitting my 3-year anniversary soon, and I look forward to many more years. They can't get rid of me that easy.
That's a true sign of a woman who loves her job. That's amazing.
And my team is amazing. We're a big family, and that's what makes it really just such a great place to work. And we do care about our authors. We want them to succeed. We don't want to, push them into something that they don't feel comfortable with. And that's, I think, one of the big things that differs from Book Baby. We custom tailor almost everything because every book is unique. Yes. And some people have skills that can do their own editing or do their own cover design, and most people shouldn't.
Amen. I second that.
So, we help people who are looking to, do this as a career and promote their books and their speaking arrangements and in a professional business way, or all the way to just fulfilling the dream of being a published author, getting that book up on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or iTunes. It depends on what their goal is and what they want to do, but we try to set realistic expectations for them as well, because it is a very competitive business and there are millions of books out there, and if it doesn't look like a professional book, chances are the sales aren't going to be there, and that's disheartening and unmotivating. So we want our authors to be successful.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. We want to make great-looking books and have happy authors, so that they can write more, so they can publish more, so they can write more, so they can publish more.
Yeah, well, let's back up just a little bit and talk about exactly what Book Baby does and how you support authors, what part of the process they should come in, and all of that.
Absolutely. So with Book Baby, we do help the author with almost every single step of the publishing process. We can help with editing, with professional editors. Once editing is done, we can take the book and you give us a Word document and your ideas of cover design. We have our own in-house graphic designers to do formatting and cover design. We can make the ebooks. We can do distribution of both print and ebook through a print-on-demand model. And we do all of our printing in-house. So on the other side of this building is 5 printing presses, 3 color, 2 black and white. And we can do hardcover and softcover, which is amazing. I love going back there to see the magic going on. So it's really cool, but it gives us that quality, the control. I say that, chances are your book's going to be run on the same printing press and probably by the same people every single time, because it's all in-house. So it's great that we can do all that. We are venturing into some marketing programs. We have some marketing consultation services to teach authors how to market their books. But we also are venturing into things like Facebook ads and other similar products coming down the line as well. So we're trying to roll out products that are what our authors need and what the industry is using. We also want to offer our products that have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Marketing is the hardest thing to guarantee because it's so subjective. So we're very careful of what we do roll out because we want to make sure we can stand by our products.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big stressful thing too, as well, if you're putting forward something. Yeah. I had a question about printing. So, you can load your books up on Amazon and do the print on demand through them. You can load them up through Ingram Spark. You can do the print on demand. Is BookBaby exclusive? So like if you're in those places, can you also be printing through BookBaby, or do you have to be only at BookBaby?
Well, you can always print with us, but if you use our print-on-demand distribution services, it is an exclusive service because you can't have overlap. If you have your book up on Amazon and then we put your book on Amazon, Amazon's going to freak out and take both books down, and that's not good for anybody. Same with Ingram Spark, because our distribution network is over 60 online retailers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, that stuff, but we also get Ingram and Baker and Taylor, the two biggest wholesalers, and they're competitors. So if you're on Ingram Spark, you're not going to get Baker and Taylor without forking out some more money.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I didn't know, like, some of them you can have exclusions. Like you can say, I'll load my book here, but don't put it on Amazon. Don't put it here or there. So that's an important thing to note, because a lot of times people don't understand that, and they'll,
Absolutely. And that's just for print. Ebook, we have a little bit more flexibility. You can pick and choose where you want your ebook distributed, but with print on demand, it is an all or nothing model with us. So, ebook is so much easier. It's a couple clicks, but once you take a book down, say you don't want to be on Amazon with us anymore, once you're down, you're down.
Okay. So. And just for people who are considering maybe making the switch or starting off with you guys and are looking at the details of it, what is the royalty distribution split?
So for ebooks, I always start with ebooks because they're so much easier. We do a one-time setup fee, lifetime distribution, and we don't take any commission from the ebook sales. So the 50 to 70% that the online retailer gives the author is 100% theirs. So that's easy. When the print comes into play, we actually have a royalty calculator where you put in what you want to charge. We safeguard you to make sure that you don't price it too low, because we don't want to give you a bill.
Right.
We want to give you money. So we guarantee that if you set your price at the minimum retail price, you're going to make at least $1 per book, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is print. Of course, you can always charge more, and that does increase your royalties because the online retailer takes a commission for the sale. We have to take out our print costs, and then the remainder is the author's. And the only time we would charge extra fees, because we don't have any renewals or annual surcharges or anything like that, is if you decide to make an editorial change to your book, or you need more books shipped to you. So those are the only time that you would have to pay again. We love it if you order more books, and but at the same time, I always say it's your book, you're the boss.
Right. So let me clarify just one more time, because you may have said this and I didn't pick up on it, but can you use BookBaby as just a printer, or does it have to be print and distribution?
Absolutely. Perfect example. We do a lot of yearbooks.
Oh, yeah.
Don't need distribution on a yearbook.
Right,
so we are more than happy to print books, put them in a box, and ship them to you.
Okay.
We've done that many, many, many times, and we'll still do that. You can always add on print on demand down the road, or not. It's again, you're the boss. We're going to keep you within the industry standards and our mechanics, but at the same time, we want to make sure that you're getting the services and meeting not only your needs, but your marketing needs, your fulfillment needs as well.
Awesome. That's good to know. I'm always looking for print options. Okay. So, well, let's then talk. So this is a perfect example of what I mentioned at the beginning, that if you you can still be self-published and still have self-published assist companies to help you with one piece, with all of that stuff. So let's talk about self-publishing then. And I don't know, you mentioned at the beginning of how much it's changed, which is really funny to think back of the days when you really did have to buy like 5,000 copies of your book and pray to God you sold them. And now print on demand has just made it's so nice that you never have to order books unless you need them for an event or, whatever. What are some of the other significant changes that have happened in self-publishing in the last 11 years?
Well, ebooks, first of all. Ebooks ebooks make life so much easier. People are like, "Oh, I want to do print books," and I'm like, "Well, have you thought about ebooks, especially for things like novels and nonfiction where there's not a lot of graphics involved?" I love ebooks. I think they're fantastic. But I always tell my authors, when I'm reading fiction, I buy an ebook. Mm-hmm. When I buy nonfiction, mm-hmm. I'm buying a print book. Yep. And especially when it's a kid's book or a cookbook, I want print. Yeah. Print's never going away. Yeah. I think the technology is only advancing. We have digital printers here, which back in the day were meh. But now they compete with the quality of offset printing. They're beautiful, full color, black and white. They're great printers that really do a high quality job. They don't look like inkjet printers in any stretch of the imagination. So that technology has really improved things. Has made it possible for us to have 3 printers here or 5 printers here. And then the distribution, being able to do print on demand is amazing. It's something that didn't exist 10 years ago. And getting your print book up on, say, Amazon was a royal pain. Yeah. And now it's, easy. You upload files and boom, it's there.
I think it's so funny. Like I'm thinking back to probably about the 2008, 9, 10 timeframe when I was thinking about publishing. And one of my girlfriends at the time, ebooks were like largely, ebooks by self-published authors, I should say, were largely like crappy romance books. Like anybody was, and I remember her saying to me, "Please don't tell me you're going to self-publish your book. They're so terrible." And I would say one of the biggest things that happened is now you have self-published books that truly you cannot tell the difference other than the name of the publisher on the book, which is just fantastic.
Exactly. And 9 times out of 10, people don't even notice anymore. No. They don't care if it's Harlequin or Random House or Book Baby or Karen Manili Publishing. Right. They really don't. A good book is a good book. And I think it has opened up the door to so many more authors. Mm-hmm. I've read some amazing independent published work that I know would have never hit mainstream traditional publishing. Right. And I'm very glad for it. I'm very glad. I've actually made friends because of people who have self-published, which is amazing. It's phenomenal.
So let's talk about that a little bit because, there still is a stigma out there, and I still continue to have authors come into my group to say, "I will never self-publish. I only want to traditionally publish." Mm-hmm. So if you'd like to cover a little bit of that, of why you would choose the self-publishing route.
Well, first is control. Traditional publishing, you sell the rights away. And a lot of people don't realize that. And then, but one of the beautiful things of self-publishing is you get to do everything. But that's also one of the pitfalls of self-publishing. You get to do everything. Right. I do find that there are a lot of similarities for a first-time or second-time author. Regardless of if you're traditional or self-published, you're still going to have to market your book. Right. I like the fact that the authors make more money through self-publishing. I think that it gives them again, more control, more freedom. Mm-hmm. And, when you know that you're going to be making, say, $1 versus 25, 30, 40 cents a book, you tend to work a little harder. And, I'm not knocking traditional publishing at all. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's great. But getting your foot in the door is really, really hard as well. I think self-publishing, like I said, it lets more authors get out there and share their work. and they tend to connect a little bit more with their readers because they're being active in their marketing and their publishing and their presence. So I love self-publishing. I think it is phenomenal to be able to just be a bigger part of the community. Traditional publishing is great, but it also takes forever. It can take a year to find an agent. It could take another year to find a publisher, and then you get on a schedule. One of my coworkers here at BookBaby is actually traditional published, and he had his first book republished end of last year, and now he has to wait like a year and a half for the next book that's already written, already in production, for the second book in that series to be published. And that was after him finding the work, and he'd been working on this for about 3 years already. So, I'm not saying that a book should be rushed into publication, and no stretch of the imagination should a book ever be rushed into publication. Right. But you're working on your schedule. You're working in self-publishing versus a committee.
Right.
And that's, there's definitely pluses and minuses to both.
Right. Yeah, I'd say definitely time frame, although I 100% agree with you. I am not a proponent of write and publish your book in 30 days under any circumstances, unless, okay, I will make a caveat to that. If you are an entrepreneur who has tons and tons of content already written, already vetted, and you're putting out an ebook that is meant to be for your clients, go for it. You can do that in 30 days. If you're trying to be a New York Times bestseller, writing a novel, no way, sister.
No. It still takes time, and it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And yes, you can do it all yourself, or you can enlist in services like BookBaby to help do some of that heavy lifting for you. Some people are like, oh, I don't know if I could do my own cover design. I'm like, okay, well, give it a try. Know that you have this in your back pocket if you need it. And we don't force anyone to have certain services, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they know that we're there if you need us.
And what I would say about that, especially when it comes to the money, I totally understand. My first book was, we had lost a child, and I was writing a book for grieving parents. It's actually a compilation book. I went out and sought insights and stories from a bunch of other parents who had lost children. And we published Sunshine After the Storm, a survival guide for the grieving mother. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had no source of income. We didn't have a lot of extra money. The idea of paying $600 to have somebody lay out my book was like, it was not even an option, right? At the time, that's what I thought. But what happened was, and anyone can go download a template and can figure, if you know Word well enough, you can figure out how to kind of do it. But the thing is, I wound up spending hours and hours and hours of my time doing the layout. And then I had to go back and redo it after publication, because once I saw it in print, I realized how many things I didn't know. And then I had to invest in education on what's an interior layout supposed to look like? How do I make sure I'm within industry standards? So yes, I understand the budget issue, but I would say if you can just say, okay, I can, and it really depends on the complexity of your book. You could potentially get it laid out for somebody for like less than $200, or it could cost you over $1,000 depending on all the things you have going on, right? If you are going to trade time for money, then definitely go with the professional, because I wish I could have all those hours back. On the other hand, I wound up going into a business doing this for people. So that learning experience was very beneficial. So, it's always the thing. But I would say if you're spending the time to have a book that you really want to have great reviews, that you want picked up for starred reviews and editorial reviews, that you want bookstores to want to sell, it has to look like a professional did it.
Absolutely. And I've done my own cover design. I've done my own formatting. I've also paid people to do it for me. And I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I'm glad I did it both ways. I'm also going to be pulling my books down and republishing them because I've learned so much in 10 years that I feel I need to do this,
Yeah.
not only for my own writing, which is a whole different conversation, but also the publishing world. I want to be more on, out there. I've learned so much in the 3 years I've been here at BookBaby,
Sure.
and I've just learned so much more, and I want to present the best book possible, because readers will. I've had people say, "Oh, well, I returned it because I found too many spelling errors in there," and it was like,
it happens.
okay. So and granted, the work up there is much better than it was when I first, threw it up there.
Sure.
But now it's like, okay, now I need to, really take this to the next level, and position myself for the series that I'm promoting that I'll be promoting. But that's my personal opinion, and that's the beauty of self-publishing. If it was a traditional publisher, they'd be like, no, that's our book. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. You can't republish this.
Right.
So I love the freedom that it gives you, and the control that is in the author's hands.
Absolutely. Well, and you just hit on another interesting point, which is, trust me, I am not trying to persuade anybody not to self-publish. What I'm saying here is self-publish with people who know what they're doing. Like, let people help you through the process, because I am self-published. Well, now I consider myself kind of definitely hybrid publishing, since I have a publishing company. But the point is that if you want a book out there, there are people who know how to do this. And what Karen just said is that she's been doing this since 2008, and she's still learning all the time. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I'm still learning every day. So that's something that you have to know when you're self-publishing, is that you can either choose, I'm going to learn it all. You can choose, I don't care if I know this stuff, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And when I realize my book isn't selling, I'll investigate as to why. Or you can take the smart route, and that is to learn while you're having professionals help you, so that you have a great book out there. That would always be my suggestion, always, to start with.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, you have to be mindful of your budget and of your resources, and keep in mind your time as well. Your time is very important. With my second book, it was bare budget, so therefore that's why I did my own, and it came out okay.
Right.
But we're our own worst critics, of course. So, I open up the book and I just see everything, and it's like, no. I've learned my lesson. I will go to my friends across the room. Our designers are actually in the same room that I sit in, and I'm going to let them do their magic.
Yes.
It's going to look phenomenal, and I'm going to be happy with it, and, not find all those flaws every single time I open the book. But I still love my books. I absolutely adore my books. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But it's time.
And it's funny, because even with, I had an editor do our book, but I've just recently started trying to record chapters from Sunshine After the Storm, because I wanted to test it out before I pay somebody to do the audio for me. I wanted to see if I could do it, but it was really interesting. So this is a tip that I would have for people that has nothing to do with self-publishing, just in general, is to read your book out loud before you publish, because as I've started recording it and reading it out loud, I'm catching all kinds of things that I did not catch just reading it in my head and going through editing and all that kind of stuff. But the reason I got on that subject was that since we published the first book, I've had a cover redesign, I've had an interior layout redesign, I've had it re-edited. It's like you learn and you go. And it's okay. Everybody expects that your first book is not going to be your masterpiece.
Yes. And you're only as good as your next book.
Exactly. Okay, this is fantastic. What other tips do you have for someone who is looking to start self-publishing, or if they're in the process and now are kind of like, oh my gosh, this is more than I realized. What do I do?
While you're writing the book, it doesn't matter if this is fiction, nonfiction, memoir, cookbook, whatever. Start already thinking about how you're going to market this book. Who is your reader? How are you going to reach your reader? To start thinking about it, because so many people go into publishing their book, and then it's like, okay, how do I tell everyone about this? And it's like,
Uh,
Yeah, you gotta tell the world about this phenomenal book that you've birthed, and because the competition is so vast, there's millions of books out there. You have to figure out what makes your book tick, and who your reader is, and how they're going to find it, and that's really important. Yes, you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have someone market your book for you, of course. But usually first-time authors or second-time authors or third or fourth-time authors don't have that kind of marketing budget on hand. So I find that self-published authors are incredible with their marketing, and they think outside the box.
Yes.
Any kind of avenue that will create conversation about your book is going to help. So thinking about marketing, even as you're in the writing process, is very, very important.
Yeah, we have an interview with Angela J. Ford, who is she's a fantasy series writer, epic fantasy, and it's all about this outside of the box marketing. And she's done some cool things, like paired up with this candle company that will create scents. I have to go look up the name of this company because I really want to be promoting this. It's such a cool idea. But they will create a scent, work with the author to create a scent that they feel like their book evokes. And then they create special labels and everything.
Oh, wow.
Like a special candle just for your book. So in theory,
that's cool.
Selling this candle for people to be to light while they're reading your book, and all these kinds of things. And to some people they're like, oh my gosh, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But there are people that enjoy that kind of stuff, and there are people that love candles. So why not try to? I think one of the things that I have found with marketing is, why not try everything?
Exactly.
Why not do as much as you can? You might be writing a book about changing the world, and the people who read your book might be really interested in really pretty greeting cards. So if you have a great logo that you could put on greeting cards and sell them as a bundle of, anyway, to your point, there's so many, but you have to have people to sell it to. You can create the most wonderful things and be the most outside of the box in your marketing. But if you have no audience, you have no sales.
Exactly. And you have to also think of it, yes, we're creatives. We write our books, but you also have to realize this is a business. You've built a small business. Even if it's just one little ebook, it's still a business, and you need to approach it that way. A lot of authors are like, I don't want to do any of the marketing. I'm like, well, yeah, then don't complain to me when you don't have any sales in 6 months.
Right. I've had to have that conversation with a couple people too. I'm like, you have to be talking about your book, period. It's not just because it's on Amazon doesn't mean it's going to sell itself. So again, this is another one of those learning topics that if you go self-publishing, you have to understand what it means to market.
And there's so much information out there on how to market and how to build a business plan and how to build a marketing plan. And a lot of that's free. So, you don't have, again, free means you have to invest the time. So, but at the same time, you're learning, and it's important to learn, even if you're going to hire someone, so that you know that they're doing what you're expecting them to do. You got to be knowledgeable. Yes, I'm not an expert on tax law, but I know that my taxes need to get done properly. Same goes for publishing and any other kind of business venture. So that is something that is very important. At our conferences, probably about 2/3 of the seminars and lectures and workshops that we have are on marketing, just because there's so many ways to do it. And people just need to know, they want to know, they crave that knowledge, and they want to know how the people who are successful got successful.
Okay, so now that everybody has fallen in love with you and your candor and wants to work with you, what is your specific role at BookBaby? And if they come, is it kind of like they get assigned to somebody, or can they request to work with you, or how does all of that work?
So at BookBaby, I am a self-publishing specialist. So my job is to help authors get set up with their project and make sure that we get all the pieces that we need to create your books. We have conversations like, what are your publishing goals? What do you want to do with this? What is your vision? once the project is booked, then it goes over to production and the technical people take over. And you want those people taken care of.
Yes.
And we also have a distribution team to answer questions once the book is out in distribution, because they're the ones interfacing with the online retailers like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. They know exactly what, so we're specialized, but it's a great big happy family here. So yes, you can call into BookBaby and there's a sales queue and you get who you get, but you can request me, of course. But all my coworkers are fabulous, very passionate, awesome people. We love helping our authors. We love coming to work every day. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it is really true. We have a lot of fun, and we love working with great authors. Whatever your motivation or intention of your publishing, we can help you. But we also try and keep you from shooting yourself in the foot. Right. So if you come to us saying, I want to do a cookbook and I want to do an ebook cookbook, we ask a question: do you own any ebooks that are cookbooks? Those kinds of questions. So we work with authors day in and day out. So we've been asked almost every question. Very rarely are we caught off guard with a question that's never been asked before. So let us teach you from our experiences on what has been successful for other authors.
That's great. And my final question is, we do have a contingency of small publishers who follow and watch this summit. So do you have an option yet for people who are small, maybe hybrid publishers or smaller publishing houses, to go through BookBaby with all of their books and all of their authors? Or at this point, are you just one-on-one with authors?
So we do have some small publishing companies working with us using our distribution networks and the printing facilities. They can come with us with print-ready files, or could use our design services. And we don't put our name anywhere on books that we make, so you can use your own logo. One thing with distribution, sometimes it will say published by BookBaby, just because Amazon needs to know where to get the books from. Right. So we do have some very small publishers that use our services in whatever way, shape, or form they need, be it just print books or full distribution. So we are set up to do that as well. Okay, great. Great. Well, this has been really great conversation. I feel like I know everything about BookBaby now, which is great, because again, it's been, the thing I think a lot of people, as they're trying to self-publish, will realize is that there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of businesses. There's a lot of freelancers. There's a lot of big businesses and small businesses. There's so much. So it's really helpful to really get down and narrow down some of these organizations and really understand. It sounds like a fantastic tool. I'm all about a professional book, no matter how, no matter which route you're going, making it look good and so that you can sell it. And remember, a cover is the first thing people are going to say. People do judge a book by its cover. They absolutely do. We had a book design panel that interviewed yesterday, actually, and that's the first thing we said was that is not just a saying. Like, you will get judged. All right. Thank you so much, Karen. I really enjoyed this. Thank you. Thank you for having me.